sorry. I just had to let people know this live was happening. This live is crazy and impromptu. Like, I'm not even clean. But, well, yeah. You can see I'm in my house and I'm just at my table. But I was tasting tea and talking about tea already, and then knock at the door, and I'm like, who the hell knocks at my door? Luo Chun. The Luo Chun is in. This is the mid-spring. This is the mid-spring. Sorry, I'm new to some of this stuff. This is the mid-spring. This is what. Who the hell? I don't like. I'm a foreigner in China. Like, who the hell knocks on my door? And when my phone rings, I'm like, who the hell? Who's calling me? That's usually advertisement. This is the mid-spring Luo Chun, which is going to be super exciting. We'll talk about that in a second. But before we talk about that, the other reason I'm doing this live, I'm so excited and talking fast. The other reason I'm doing this live is that I was already drinking something sort of interesting, sort of worth mentioning at least. So I will say, when you're buying tea, when you're buying teas, especially when you're buying teas not in the region, like, for example, I'm in Suzhou, but I'm buying Huangshan Mao Feng's. For me, it's super fucking stressful. I hate it. And because there's a lot of like trust and there's a lot of hope and there's a lot of like today I just paid money for the whole goo, which should be picking now. Like the pick I want should be right now. The season started in late March. It started a little early this year. We're in early April. So there's that little bit of time for the buds to get big and yada, yada, yada. So it should be now. But like, I can't really be sure. There's a little bit. Teas are always going to be different. Oh, that's too much. Teas are always going to be different from year to year. But this one tasted a little extra different, like a little like, So I asked, and it's a new plot of land. Because now the woman. I should get up on Instagram. Right, Instagram. We're going to turn that sideways because I have it plugged into the charging. All right. So I started the YouTube live before the interview. Like, as soon as he said that, I was like, wait, I didn't do the live. But now it is on Instagram. And so I see that Dewey now is in Instagram. Right now I'm doing the Instagram live and the YouTube live. So if I'm looking up and looking down, depending on who you are, that's why. So yeah, so this year, my friend Manfu, who would be my tea teacher, this is the guy who helps me, who connects me to the Chimens I buy, a lot of the Chimens I buy, the yellow teas I buy, the Hokway. He's helped me get some good Hokway before. I know he's helping, and he's someone who often gets called in. A couple years ago, I'll let you guys in on a little industry secret, or this is from what Manfu says. A couple years ago, the woman who buys from who Sohan gets the Hokway from, a few years ago, there should be sound. Sound? Is there sound? No, but there's. I think Nelden's talking about like bandwidth stuff. All right, let's try this again. This is why we put it on YouTube. Yeah, I'm seeing the. All right, check Instagram now. just what? Oh, I got kicked off of the fucking live. Jesus Christ. I'm not frustrated. This doesn't happen all the time. All right. Okay, so try the live again. It should be live now. I took off the case, which might have been blocking the sound. Is there sound? Please tell me there's sound. Okay, yeah, I think my case was blocking the sound for some reason. Okay. We're back. Okay. So there was about 90 something days of, I think it's something, there was like 90 something days of no sun. Yeah. There was 90 something days of like no sun. And I always remember that first day of coming out of my apartment when that first bit of sunshine came out. And I was just like, I was confused. I was like, wait, what's happening here? Hold on. And so the problem with this, and this year, Hokway was pretty bad because so the woman who does the 100% traditional Hokway called Monfu up, and Monfu kind of helped her, yada yada yada, because he makes tea. He's a tea maker too. Anyway, side story. So person I think worked together to do this. So it's still 100% handmade, but I think the land was different. The land is different. And it was funny because the day I got it was like it was fresh off the roast. And it was just I was a little like, this is not as good as I want it to be. And so that's why I messaged her, and I didn't say that, but I think she kind of felt it, and I think she kind of, yeah. So she sent me the sample, and then a few days later, I tasted the tea again, and it was so much better. I hate Instagram. Instagram just cut again. It was so much better, and so she still sent me this. And this tea is interesting because Huangshan, it's this. And this is actually the better end of a lot of Huangshan Mao Fengs in Huangshan. But, there's not, and this is a lot of, because a lot of, Shixian makes a lot of teas. And, Shixian is a great region with a lot of high mountains. Daguyun is a very famous one. But there, it's not the core region, and there's something that it lacks because it's not the core region. It's my new Monkey King cup. But the flavor, it has less of that Huangshani savoriness that the Chashan. Don't know what they're talking about. Don't know what they are talking about, but I also, who are they? I'm not sure who they are. But what is lacking in Tawal for the 100% handmade is made up by it kind of makes up for it. And so, the charcoal roasting and the wok, two things I've realized that charcoal roasting and wok does. What it does, basically, we're going to talk about Beetle Chun in a second, is it adds depth. And I've seen this in white teas, yenchas, blah blah blah. When we're talking about wok and fire versus like electricity and propane, which is a big thing for Beetle Chun, we're going to get into it in a second. The wok and the fire, a wok fire, a charcoal roast compared to a propane wok and a electronic roast. The wok fire and charcoal roast just add depth, add fullness to the flavors, while other teas tend to be more flat. And I think this is one of the big things that makes shout out. Always, whenever I talk about white teas, I gotta shout out One River Tea. The thing that makes One River Tea's white tea so good is that they are, for the most part, and I think he's very clear on what is and what isn't, charcoal roasted. And the charcoal roasted just adds that depth, just adds that fullness. Man, I didn't see. I kind of understand that though. I'm not really gonna argue that actually, which I think is why I should actually do. If there was enough people who thought it was boring, I would do a sample pack, and maybe I'll do it anyway, of the Chashan, the Hogu, and the Shishian, and they could see some flavors. Because here's the other thing: with Huangshan to Beetle Chun, or to Dongting Dongshan, is Shishian, Ichian. I'm missing up, and I'm still missing a bunch. Xiaoning, these are all like districts within Huangshan, and you can see this on the website. I've started putting maps. Shishian alone is way bigger than all these regions by themselves are way bigger. Like Dongshan is a mountain. Like there's a mountain, there's a peninsula, and that's the Beetle Chun region. That's the only thing. And you see it. If you look at me, I know Derek One River Teas put a lot of videos from Dongshan. You're standing on the mountain, and there's the city below, and the mountain is it. It is one mountain. You go to Huangshan, yeah, you have this famous core location, but there's tons of tea growing right outside of that. You have rings. You have the core location, and then you have the secondary location, the third location, and the fourth ring. Boom, boom, boom. And so what you get is, for Huangshan, you just get so much more variety in flavors, just because this tea is not going to taste like the one on the outer ring, which is not going to taste like the one in the middle ring, which is higher. And Beetle Chun is like, look, there's two mountains, and it's almost been kind of takes the fun out of it, to be honest, because you can get Beetle Chun, you can get a lot of like teas that are mostly tasting the same. Yeah, but even still, East and West Mountain are separate areas, but they're next to each other. Like I'm pretty sure if you stood on one, you could see the other. You can take a boat from there. You have the West Lake. You have the East Mountain, which is on the peninsula, to Longjing than there is to Beetle Chun. Beetle Chun is a very and once again, the second you leave East Mountain, you're in the city. You're apartment buildings and businesses, and not a city, but you're in the suburbs. God, I think, yeah, it's really something. So that is the perfect transition. Yeah, and we're not gonna fucking talk about Taiwanese Beetle Chun. That shit irks me. Like the audacity. I can't believe those people in Taiwan call that shit beetle. Like, come on. It's you saw this in the wine world, where people, and they've kind of stopped, but people in California were making sparkling white wine and calling it champagne. And for those of you who don't know, Champagne is a region in France. Champagne is just not the name of a type of tea. Champagne is a region in France where champagne comes from. And so for California winemakers to be calling their sparkling white wine champagne, everybody was like, come on. But then they were like, who says we can't? And they were like, come on, who says we can't? Um, but I think recently they've kind of stopped. They've kind of been like, okay, that was sparkling white wine from California. Um, Shipping's actually pretty cheap. Shipping's about $10, $15. I think I usually lose a little bit of money on shipping. I kind of eat some costs for shipping, like a few dollars. I don't. Um, Shipping is something or not. Um, I've shipping is a little tricky for me to get it where I can coming from China and sizes and yada yada yada. Shipping is pretty cheap, so it's also pretty quick. Um, the most the most annoying part of shipping, the most annoying part of buying from me, is getting tracking numbers because I send it to a shipper and then she sends it out, and so. But I think she doesn't send me the tracking number. She either sometimes forgets to send me the tracking number, or she sends me the tracking number once it's left China. And so there'll be times where like I'll send her the teas, she'll receive them, I'll pay the money, I'll give the addresses, and like a week will go by. And then every now and then I'll be like, I get an email, so about that tracking number. And then I have to, yeah. But it's always been so if I'm a week late with the tracking number, when people do check it, they're like, oh, my tea has already left China. It's not like the teas haven't been sent out. Yeah, but at least good. That's I'm waiting for the day for somebody to call me out